right. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning, sir.
We are here in a revamped studio.
Yes.
With owner operator of studioUSA, Rick Davis. Hey, Rick.
Good morning, sir. So yeah, it's since you were here last. So that was you and Ashley last week. That was the last time that we sent anything live under the old umbrella. And so since then, it was one of those things where, you know, the universe kind of lined it up. Last week, everybody was either out of town, had a thing, you know, after you guys. And so I had the entire week to basically gut the place. And so now everything is live, local, and in excruciating 4K detail.
Very. I mean, you can really tell the difference in like I could see the wispies in my hair.
Dude, it is crazy. So we upgraded everything. So all the cameras, the board, the console, the rack, the recording,
all the back end stuff that nobody sees.
Yes, all the back end stuff that you would have no idea what it was doing if you looked at it, but it all has an effect as far as what comes out of the oven. Yeah. So like right now, this is streaming to the platforms that allow it or that will accept it in 4K, so ultra high def. And then the other thing is one of the things that we were doing that was extremely effective for folks needing content was doing the long form content into short form content. And the only drawback or downside was we could record in 4K on the individual cameras, but anything that was quick as far as the editing process was only 1080. So, and what that means for people at home, it's like, okay, you have your giant 4K TV or you had your original, you know, HD TV that was the rear projector and it was a little grainy or whatever. Well, in the world of social media, when you're taking that 4K file, even if it's 4K, if you're taking it and cutting slices out of it, okay, it's like the third or fourth time that you do that, you're almost in a throwback to the VHS era, where like it's a copy of a copy of a copy, and then by the time you put it on your phone and you send it to the satellite or whatever, and it comes out on TikTok or Instagram, it's been stepped on 3 or 4 times, so the quality degrades, and now I've eliminated all of those processes and I've eliminated a giant chunk of the back end editing, or at least that is the goal. And this will be the test. So what pops out of the oven. So we have Zach over there for people that don't know for folks that don't know how this works. He's cutting between you and me and then the 2-shot for both of us.
This wide. Hey.
And so all of that is done by a human. And, you know, the robots haven't figured out how to do that enough yet to where it's reliable every single time. And if we don't have a human to do it, well, then we record in all the cameras individually. And then another human
has to piece it together. And you know as well as I do, the longer you sit and record the same or edit the same stuff, it becomes a nightmare. And it's a psychological torture device that is second to none, especially if you throw in music. It's like, okay, now I'm editing the same footage to the same music for the next 16 hours. And at the end, I just want to drive off a bridge. So this will eliminate a lot of that, knock wood, and give us a much faster yet higher quality output, boom, almost overnight. So now come in, do this. So I would think that by the day after tomorrow, I should have the team posting this as short form content in 4K. You mentioned earlier something that I don't know if everybody's familiar with. And you said like studioUSA, what we really specialize in here is going long form to short form. Can you explain kind of what that means and how?
So one of the things that folks almost across the board, they know intuitively, or they realize like, oh, if I have a business of which that I am essentially the rainmaker or the star or the whatever, I need to be my brand and I need to be out there. They all know that they should, and most of them want to, you know, but then it's a matter of pulling the trigger. And then you'll have your outliers, and I always use Courtney and Lacey as the extreme example where
to be Courtney Benson and Lacey Brucci, with a real
realtors that are total rock stars from completely different yet oddly similar personality types. And the thing is, those two they're just doing it. They're doing it because that's who they are, and they would do it and be good at it if they were selling, you know, vacuum cleaner parts, or if they were selling houses, or if they were selling like a chiropractor's office, whatever. They would be good at it. Most people are not that. And so you have the folks that are subject matter experts in the realm that they do business in, but they don't necessarily know how to or feel comfortable like, hey, boom, look at me. I'm on the thing, doing the thing, talking about what I do. And most people freak out. And there's this weird thing where a lot of times folks just need permission, and they're wanting somebody to tell them, no, it's cool, you can do that. Just go ahead. You actually do know what you're talking about, you know, as evidenced by your X number of years in business and you haven't starved, you know, or you're able to buy groceries. You know, there's the old Stephen King thing, like, yeah, if somebody wrote you a check for a thing that you wrote, you're a writer, you know, and it kind of goes like that in small business. And you can speak more to this on the Chamber of Commerce side, but the long form to short form is you get them in, and instead of trying to think of like, oh, I need like some super hooky kind of 30-second thing that's gonna pop, okay, you're gonna drive yourself insane trying to do that. And if you do it once, okay, now do it again. Now do it on demand. You know, now like, yay, you know, like the barking seal or whatever. But if you get somebody talking for like, say, half hour, 45 minutes about what they actually do and what they're good at, they forget that they're being recorded, and now they're just talking. And that gives us the gigantic side of beef that we then cut filet out of. And in cutting that filet, you said it before, it's like little bits of smart.
Little nuggets of smart, yeah.
You know, and I mean, I could be guilty of sounding like I know what I'm doing like every so often. Yeah. Well, so then it's like, all right, well, then you just cut that out, and that's what you use. And then we are all, for good or ill, conditioned by the internet to see somebody that is in a professional setting, is like doing it for real. We assume that they're experts. We automatically fill in the blanks, and it's like they might have started, you know, 15 minutes ago, and or they might be adjacent to the business that they're in. They just know the lingo, but we see it, and it's like, well, that person knows what they're doing, and then. The best part is if you actually have somebody that we can cut the filet, and they do know what they're doing, and then they do know how to approach the client and the customer and do all of the other things that BeLocal would be based on, like where you're panning for gold. You know, like there's no shortage of chiropractors or what, fill in the blank. But it's like, okay, how do you get the ones that are, I don't want to say worthy, but that
That's fine. We've got some guidelines on like you can't make the cut, and yeah, I mean there is being in like the BeLocal publication, you have to execute at a high level on what you do, but there's also some other metrics that we
you can't you can't just be like I used to love, so a million years ago when I worked at Guitar Center, it was a straight commission job, even though it was a cool setting and everything, and everybody wanted to be there and everybody wanted to hang out or whatever. If you didn't sell, and if you didn't fade the draw that you were given, you're fired. It's as simple as that. And so that sort of lends itself to aggressive sales floor technique that doesn't exactly resonate with the client. But we used to call it door pop, where like you'd come in, and the old Guitar Center in Dallas was incredible. It was a 2-story box that when you walked in, it's guitars 2 stories tall from floor to ceiling, and you're just gobsmacked. And so, but like when people were in that sort of like window of awe, bam, they would just get blasted, you know, and checked into the boards. It's like, okay, well, that guy's probably not going to buy anything. And that translates into this world and the world that you're in, the world of real producers, even the world of real estate, where it's like, if you're super aggressive and you seem overly transactional, that turns a lot of people off, man. You know, and it's like nobody wants to feel like they're attacked because somebody's seeing dollar signs. Yeah. And so the same thing goes for on the content side. It's like if you can add some humanity and some personality to what you're doing, and then also be good at it, and also be able to. It's interesting too, now that I say this out loud, it's a very narrow banded skill set of things that would actually make somebody successful in all fronts. And it's also hilarious now that I see, you know, this arms race for AI to like take the place of everybody. And it's like, oh, I'm just going to I'm not going to do shows. You're not going to do shows. We're just going to have robots that do shows together and we'll just sit there and cash checks, you know, and it doesn't work like that.
No. I think that, the challenge that this place addresses, and especially with the small business space, is when we're trying to build a brand and we're trying to create some awareness and authority around what we do. we tend to default into presenting like our value proposition, right? Being like, we're good at this because of this. And like, look at me, I did this and I do this good. And it seems very, very pick me energy.
Yes.
Right. Like, hey, you know, because we see ourselves as competing against all these people. I got to win the business. Right. And really where this creates a whole different, kind of campaign oriented around knowledge sharing, right? Where you can show up in a podcast studio, which grants you instant elevated authority, whether you deserve it or not, right? Like it looks like somebody asked you to come in and be here, and you start talking about things that help your clients and that serve your clients, and start discussing ways in what or tips and tricks and things like that. Like that's what resonates. That's when I can instantly say like, oh, Rick knows what he's talking about, right? Like you don't have to sell me on your product, on the widget that you want me to buy. If you position yourself as a person that solves problems in different ways and you can teach me how to do some of that, guess who I'm going to when I have that issue, right? Yes. And so like that's really where I feel this hits kind of a gap in a lot of small businesses' marketing strategies, because they spend a lot of time, and real estate agents are probably the worst at this, being like, just listed, just sold, under contract, magazine, real producers, like, look at all the stuff I did, look how great I am.
Yeah, look at all of these external validator signs that I'm just plastering you with.
And that's, to some extent, like, it's okay to tell people you do a good job of what you do, right?
Yes, social proof is a thing.
Sure, and absolutely, and nobody's telling anybody to stop that completely. It's just you need to augment that with and offset that by dribbling in pieces of content where you're actually helping somebody, where you're actually sharing knowledge, where you're telling somebody something they don't know in a 15 to 30 second caption, TikTokified experience, like something with a visual hook, something that's going to keep them engaged.
One of the things that the long form content does, and like a lot of people, you know, shit on the Joe Rogans of the world or whatever, but one of the things that I think turned the corner for like somebody like a Donald Trump, who was just like this ridiculous cannon of sound bites and whatnot, regardless of how crazy in pro wrestling you are in the loose cannon setting, when you're sitting down for 3.5 hours, there's not a skill set alive where you could do that for 3.5 hours. Yeah. So there's going to be some kind of reality is going to, like, the truth is going to come out. And on a smaller scale, that's what happens whenever somebody sits down for half an hour or 45 minutes and actually talks about, you know, we kind of walk them through it. Like, you know, what is your value proposition? And it's like, okay, let's get what's on the label to match what's in the can. So then when people see your content, they automatically, I mean, dude, like you and I, we go to any number of real estate adjacent events or whatever, and they're like, oh, dude, I saw your thing. You know, like Ashley now, she was telling me at pickleball, different segments of the pickleball crowd talk about her different shows. So like different flavors of Ashley resonate with different people, and they gravitate towards that content, because like you guys are doing like this, the local expert thing. And then like she and I, because we kind of have this like separated at birth sort of irreverent, unemployable aspect of our personalities, and she's on a quest to, you know, get me to eat healthy or whatever. And it's like, I love the conspiratorial bent of her nutrition focus. And of course I was a child of the 80s. And so I like fruit flavored things. I don't like fruit. It's like, I want
artificial flavor, Fruit Loops.
Yes,
Don't give me an
give
apple.
a red one. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what I want. And then of course too, it's like, okay, well, I've been sober for 21 years. If I die because of like red number 5 or whatever, well then, all right,
that's it. Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
That's it.
But you know, getting back to the whole idea of the content, it's so funny because I came up with the tagline "content creation at scale" like years ago. I didn't even know what that meant. I just thought it sounded great, and it had like I think I might have ripped it off or paraphrased Gary Vee.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You know, because like there's so many of these buzzwords out there that are like, oh, XYZ at scale, or we're scaling, or whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, until you've done the actual like make the donuts thing, how do you even know, like, okay, can I do one? Can I make one? And then it's a different animal at every level. And now learning that, like, okay, I just, you know, basically reinvested or whatever you want to call it into all the new gear with the idea of it took 4 days off of the back end process. As far as, using editors that are overseas, there's a million different hazards and pitfalls. It's like the goofy golf where like there's like the windmill and there's like a shark and there's like all kinds of crazy shit. And you're like, wait a minute, you guys like have rolling brownouts where you have no internet or electricity for 5 hours? Okay. And then, the other thing that's adorable yet also a gigantic catastrophe at times is everybody's using pirated software. Or because IP and copyright just doesn't exist. It's like you leave the United States, it's like what? It was on a disc and we gave it to everybody. And so like there's all kinds of things that bog down the process. Well then, okay, then now I'm adjusting to that because I've been now kind of immersed in the Sphere Rocket universe where it's all about
Sphere Rocket being the VA company.
Yeah, being the VA. It's kind of like a VA placement / recruiter. And it's very slick the way that they do it. And
it's a staffing agency, international staffing agency.
And I've done it to a level now where like, oh, wow, okay, I kind of know a thing or two about this. And then sped up the process. And it also expedited me getting rid of some, but it also has helped locally. So another thing, because of Sphere Rock and because of like, oh, it's the people. It's adding people to the equation. So studioUSA West is about to come back online on Tuesdays, 1 day a week. So I got 2 interns from Tarrant County Community College, the rebranded Tarrant County Junior College, which is what it was when I went there for like 5 minutes. And then I've decided the Art Institute of Dallas has a much better ring to it. Except the Art Institute is out of business and Tarrant County Community College is still there. But we're going to do this idea over there as well, except for using the folks in Tarrant County that already have name equity and brands. And so like the other thing I'm doing is kind of giving the shows sort of as a feeder system because, I see you now posting at the Chamber of Commerce stuff and it's like, wow, those places are packed.
Yeah.
And ostensibly
you should come play at the Chamber of Commerce for a day.
So that is like, those are all small business people, correct?
100%.
Okay.
Oh, well, I mean, there are some larger, like business development folks at larger, I mean, there's like large banks and stuff that represent it. McDonald's will come, Walmart will come, but for the most part, because we have a lot of those big brands here.
Yeah, the big box.
And there's local representation of those big brands, but for the most part, 95% of the folks in those local chambers are small business owners, business operators. Yeah. Mostly.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it'd be a great place for you to fish. For opportunities.
Well, and like there, because I've been thinking more and more about not that I don't love hustle porn and that I don't love the grind, like whatever. There was a part of the levels to it where, okay, once I got the VA, so now they've been with me for a couple of months and they're kind of dialed in. It's like, okay, well then what can we do? And so like the beauty of last week, it's like, I love having the opportunity to be a gear nerd, but you like when you were putting the mobile together, it was like, being the guy that shoots the thing, flies the drone, shoots the video, edits the video, all of that, or what, or even just the lion's share of that, leaves very few hours in the day
to tinker with that kind of stuff.
To actually mess with the stuff and play with the toys. And so last week, I had all of this, quote, free time based on, the team runs everything behind the curtain. The guys are out shooting, and the live streaming was delayed or just off the calendar after you guys were done last month, just because of everybody, or last Monday, everybody's schedule. And so I was able to do what used to be the build a PC at home and make 17 trips to Micro Center, became like, okay, come in here for a day, put together everything that's here. Now survey what pieces do I need, order that on Amazon, wait for it to get delivered.
You don't go to Micro Center anymore, man. That's always the good break in my project. It's like, okay, it's time to go to Micro Center.
And I used to live at Spring Valley in Montfort, which is about 7 minutes from Micro Center. So it lent itself to many, many trips. I used to love Fry's too. Like Fry's when it was at the height
Rest
of its
in peace.
Yeah.
Does it still exist? Is there a
I don't
Fry's
think
there?
So. There might be like where there's that one remaining Blockbuster out there somewhere in the United States.
If you've got any inkling of nerd in you and you haven't been to Micro Center at Spring Valley and 75, it's got all chef's kiss of like all the toys and things you want. Yeah.
And for the super nerd that would like to build. It's like it's the last place on earth that you can go with a grocery store shopping cart and be like, oh, a motherboard.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Really
heat sink paste. Ooh, you know, and it's like, I'm going to get an Intel processor, you know, and then to just put all of that together, have a giant shit pile of parts, and then go home and spend like 15 hours. And then because there was something about after I, you know, figured out how to do that or whatever, and all the missteps or whatever, when you fire it up for the first time, and the Windows logo comes on and it's like, do you want it in English? Why, yes, I do. and to do that, and then all the iterations that came after that of, not that I'm not absolutely in love with like the Mac Studio and the Mac Minis and the iPhone and all the other stuff. There was just something about the Windows PC that you could just mess with and I don't know, can I make it do that? Yeah, but you'll need this. Okay, just tear it open and put one of those in there. And then, of course, everything else shits the bed and you got to reverse and reverse engineer.
Does it ever really work clean where like the Apple products?
Oh, no.
Well, right now, I'm not super happy with some of my Apple products, but for the most part, they work.
What is...
my phone is just being weird. When I you know, we've basically gotten this model where we buy our new hardware and then we take the brain out of our old hardware and dump it into the new one, and all the little like, you know, all the, like, the weird all the misfirings that you've built into this, and then some of the apps that aren't working right, and that kind of carries over. And so I just see some of the same problems that I assumed were going to be solved when I upgraded not being solved. Plus, I don't know if you've used the camera on the 17 Pro Max. Beautiful camera. Until you really want it, until you know what you want it to do, and you want to like make a decision on like where it focuses or some coloring or something. Like, it's just we hiked Machu Picchu, and I didn't take my camera for the first big like trek we've done. I didn't take my camera bag because it was just a long hike. Usually it's like a day hike, and this is like we're carrying.
If
for
you're taking like an actual like full frame,
you have to carry all your
lenses,
batteries and stuff. So I had to carry multiple lenses. Yeah, so like it was going to be a whole thing.
Yeah,
and so I decided not to. I bought this new phone. And I was like, I'm going to go shoot, you know, the Inca Trail on this, and okay. But not, I would say that it tries to make too many decisions for you.
Yeah, like 6 out of 10.
With all the cameras, I feel like more so than the other ones, it's like switching between cameras and trying to get like the right bokeh and things. And like, it's trying, and I see it trying, but like most of the time, it swings and misses. Like if I want to do like a close up of a flower with like a nice bokeh of Machu Picchu in the background, like I can't control the aperture.
Right.
I couldn't tune some of the stuff, or maybe I can, and I just didn't know how to.
Well, like there, it shouldn't be so labor intensive. There, it should give you like do the bokeh effect, or just you know like the old Instagram filters, like the original OG filters, where it's like, do you want it blue? Do you want it you know like do you want it sepia? Because like I get that, I know exactly what you're talking about, because whenever Teresa is doing her show here, I will do the BTS. And I will do it on my phone. And the iris just doesn't know whether to shit or go blind whenever I'm coming into the light, coming out of the light. Now, of course, it's an extreme circumstance here where it's like it's very dark over there.
Very bright here,
but it's, you know, like you're standing on the sun over here. But oh my, it has no idea what to do. And she comes like 1 second, she's peach, then she's looking like she's from Mars. Then it's like, oh no, now she's normal.
And I felt like the iPhone used to be way better at, and maybe just like our professional cameras have caught up, but like the transition and like the auto white balance and some of the auto exposure being just like more clean and smooth than like say even like my Sony gear would
it used to be orders of magnitude better.
Yeah, I mean way better. And I used to say when we would shoot, sometimes we'd shoot like walkthroughs, and there would be some lighting environments where I'd be like, I gotta be honest, shooting this with an iPhone is probably going to yield a better result than shooting it in like an auto white balance.
I used to do that too.
Here.
I would go through and like if we're doing a walkthrough and it's you know they're talking. I might be like, okay, they want to talk about the chandelier. Okay, well if I take the Sony and I move up and down like that with the window behind it, it's going to look like ass.
Yeah, it's going to be totally blown out, and totally dark, and we're never going to find a medium.
And so like I would shoot it while they were talking, and then I would go back and I would shoot it on my phone and just use that as the voiceover clip. And invariably, you come away going like, wow, that phone is remarkable versus the $4,000.
Yeah, so I'm like, what did I buy?
right.
I got $20,000 in gear in this bag.
Yes.
And this little camera, you know, that
the little
I use
thing
for everything else.
That's on idiot mode just by design. And then the other thing was, you're always swimming uphill with people are taught that this is what footage looks like.
Oh yeah. So make it look like that. Like my brain is trained to watch content shot on a phone.
Yes, and my brain is trained to think that the depth of field and everything that is in, because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten somebody texting you like, yeah, the photos on my phone look way better, blah, 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 you know, because your guy shot this, this, and this. And it's like, you know, you have to be like, okay, well, that's because, you know, they wanted, there was one where it was like the patio and the golf course, and it was like the homeowner or whatever knew that the golf course was back there. And it's like, well, if the shooter does that and there's a giant picnic table or whatever, it's in the foreground. So forced perspective, it's going to look like Goliath's.
It's like stretched,
picnic table.
Yeah, a lot of
and
distortion.
the golf course is way out there, you know. So it's like it doesn't work like that. Whereas, you know, the depth of field with the phone being that thick or whatever, it's like it's all squished, you know, and it's all, there's like, God only knows what the software is doing in there to augment, you know, what it's seeing, but people get used to that, and it's like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
And then,
which on the flip side, you can make video feel more cinematic easier by doing some simple things like pushing in a little deeper, like a little bit of a punch, like standing back and doing a zoom, which this now does a good zoom. So you can make your iPhone footage feel a little more cinematic.
Yeah.
Because people are so used to this that like just pushing in and doing something.
And I'm also super impressed with the girls that go on like whatever their rants are and pew, 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 pew. Like while they're talking and while they're ranting, it's like these gigantic jump cuts that they're doing live with the 2, 3, 5, you know, or 4 or whatever on the Zoom. I'm like, okay, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Just to be able to do that and not break stride. And because like for me, it'd be like, okay, and then the stupid thing comes up and it's the wheel. And it's like,
yeah.
All my artistic flair has left the building.
All right, so if we are, did the light just come on? Are we on camera? Are we on my camera now?
Yes.
So you've got lights built. So now new things, we've got lights built into live
the tally
camera.
is on. Yeah.
That's great. So white's on.
Yes.
White's on. Red's
no,
on.
red is on. White is off.
Okay, now I'm on. This is my camera.
And now I'm on.
Cool.
Yeah.
So a successful test. We're really just kind of kicking the tires on
this
all
is
this
absolutely the first time that everything has been turned on
So
on
a successful
purpose.
test is, well, I guess everything has worked so far. So
and I mean, nobody has texted to say like, "There's no sound."
All the things are plugged in.
And Trang actually liked the stream.
There we go.
So she's seeing it.
Okay.
And then theoretically, there is a 4K stream on YouTube now.
Nice.
So when I was doing the test run, I literally just had everything dialed in with the blue lights or whatever and shot the chair. And then I would run over into the foyer and look. And on the 85-inch screen, it was like, oh my God, that looks. And then I had breakfast with Investor Jerry yesterday and I showed him. He didn't know that it was the live stream replay because there was nothing moving. And then I walk through the frame and he goes, I thought that was a still photo. And I was like, yes.
There you go. Yeah.
And that was with me just very half-assedly getting everything turned on. But now everything should be, and so we will see whenever we pop the Hyperdeck footage out, live switched, it will cut so much time and more importantly, human hours out of the equation, theoretically, that I can add a few more back in for things like B-roll and cleaning things up and adding little effects, logos, dissolves, whatever. And so now for somebody coming in and then we'll give them the raw footage too, because that's the other thing where a lot of people are like, oh, I have somebody that'll do that. Well, cool. Okay. Now we can literally give you something right out of the oven that any editor would be like, oh, thank you, baby Jesus. I don't have to look at a multi-camera shoot and watch 40 minutes of show, 10 times to figure out where to cut on conversations, because all of that will be at the very least, if not 100% perfect, certainly close enough for social media in today's world. And then you just cut around, And so if somebody does have an editor, we can give them, you'll essentially force multiply your ROI out of your editor because now they're not monkeying with raw footage that's truly raw. And so it's board audio, it's 4K, it's the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, you're basically handing them a pre-switch, you basically cut down all of that content, which would be 3 separate cameras that they'd have to splice all together.
Yes, that somebody has to
forward.
watch, pay attention to, and cut back and forth, and then render and deliver. It also eliminates all of those steps. Just what people don't realize is even if your editor was across the street, unless they physically come here and put the stuff on a card and take it with them, which they don't, you got to upload gigantic files to somebody else. They have to download them. Then they have to do all the other monkey, like the actual work. So it might take a day just for the footage to get there, you know, because, you know,
We're talking about a lot of overseas editors.
or
like,
just anywhere. Even if they were here, I mean, you know, how often, especially like most people have Wi-Fi at their house. Okay. Well, Wi-Fi for a 35 gigabyte file coming out of one camera, Wi-Fi sucks. It's like pack a lunch, dude. You know, you're doing nothing. And then while that's downloading, okay, well, you can't upload anything either. Even if they just finished something, there's no file system on Earth that is cloud-based that is going to read and write from the same hard drive in any kind of fashion that's even remotely not maddening. You know, it would literally be like, okay, I'm just going to watch. It's like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch the thing upload. I'm going to watch it download. And then when they're trying to do both at the same time, it's not smart enough. And there's just, you know, the internet tubes aren't big enough.
Yep. We need more power. Cool. Well, I'm super impressed with the new setup. Really excited.
Well, I knew you would appreciate it from just the tech nerd.
As somebody who's built a similar the complicated video environment, this is really cool to see. And
thank you.
Yeah, very happy to be in here next week and do it. Actually, we probably won't be here next week because Memorial Day.
I'm cool. I'm down with it.
I know you'll be in, but my guess is I'm going to get drugged to some sort of
you'll probably
some sort of extravaganza.
Do something.
Yeah, there's something going on locally that I got to be part of. So.
That's true.
All right, take care.
Yes.
Have a good rest of your day, guys. Happy Monday.
And